Hello and welcome into MFL with Laird. I am Andrew Laird, joined today by MFL NepentheZ. Changed his name a little bit. Nep, good to see you.
Hello. Yes, it always makes me chuckle when I watch these streams, and just at the start there, when it says starting now, and it still doesn't for like 5 seconds. I'm always like,
I was, you were the first person to bring that up, and I'm just like, I was waiting for it because I agree. It's just like, yeah, it's starting now.
now,
Now we're starting. Okay.
now, yeah, we're in.
Yeah, now we're really starting. Nep, you were just giving me a hard time because it's been too long since you've been on the show, so I apologize for that. And frankly, to everybody, because everybody loves seeing you around. How does it feel having 16 clubs?
Yeah, it was. I was mentally happy with it at the start of the season, and really thought that I'd be just. I don't care if they lose. I'm just here for the MFL farm. That's not me as a person.
I
Like,
know.
I just get too attached to everything. And actually, I don't know if you managed to watch last night's video. I got uploaded it like really late my time. But I got 3 new players for the pack account, and the pack account was full of like really like sort of like mid 40s to low 50s, and all 3 players were like 52, 53, 53 from the standard packs. And I was like, this is so sick, because now like they're the best 3 players in the team. I'm really going to track them and follow their, like, I'm going to be like, I'm going to prioritize them. And I thought, why them? I'm like, because they're mine. I'm like, but the other players are mine as well. But these ones now, like, they have the history, like the whole point, the 6 weeks that I've waited for this club to just earn some MFL now has the story starting. And now there's going to be a real different feeling when I look at the results every game. I'm not going to be like, I don't care what it was, just what was it? I'm gonna be like, right, how did they do? Have they progressed? Did they get goals? Did they get assists? Like, they're on penalties, they're on free kicks, they're the guys now. That's it.
I feel like I tried to touch on that a little bit yesterday, that just like there's a difference, I feel like, between guys that you get in packs and guys you buy on the market. And the guys that you get in packs are like your guys. You're
Yep.
the only one who's ever had them. And that's why somebody was asking me, like, why don't you just, like, you're making it harder for yourself. And I'm like, yeah, but let me just have my guys. That's
Yeah.
all I want.
It's more fun. It might be harder, but it's funner, isn't it? Like,
Right. Right. Exactly. That's how it feels. Yeah.
yeah. Ultimately, though, I didn't give it the time that I thought I could. And that was a pain, because I could have done better. Not by much, like, I know a lot of people tinker with their tactics and stuff, but for me, like, tactics aren't really that relevant. Everyone that I've spoken to think tactics are give or take 20%. And, Josh's Inter Miami team were ranked like 9th in the league, but they were only 2 points behind 3rd in the MMR thing. And he got promoted through the playoffs, winning all 3 rounds of playoffs. So now he's got a team so subpar for bronze, but he's there. And that is because of tactics, because he put the effort in. So tactics definitely are there. But you can't do tactics and rotations and team and all that love for like 16 teams. You could do it maybe for like 3 or 4 or 5 teams. And I do think this season, based on the amount of MFL that I won from the players outside of my own teams, I think this season I might actually go back down to 5 or 6 playing teams, some genuine, here are my 30 rated players in some farm teams in Spark, and then loan all of the rest of my players out, because I just want to actually care for the teams that I'm playing with.
So there's like 3 things from that I wanted to bring up. Mostly the tactics one to start, because I was listening to Work the Space on the When Durcast. I was listening to it today, and he's huge into tactics. And he's like, I feel like I can kind of out tactic other people. And I was listening, and I'm like, yeah, I get it. And I feel like tactics are my biggest weakness in the game, just because I feel like my football knowledge is just not that high. Part of that is because I started following football much later than a lot of people. Like, a lot of people like grew up watching it, and I just didn't. And so I feel like I'm behind on that. And then, yeah, Josh is like, I feel like he's the same way. And he's like, you could have a subpar team, but if you're as smart as me in like your tactics, then you'll get up. And I'm like, well, I'm not as smart as you. So what am I supposed to do? And somebody in my Discord was asked if you could copy tactics from one team to another. And I was like, I don't think that you can. And they were like, I wonder if Nep does that because he's got all of these teams. And so I was like, oh, I'll ask him. I'm talking to him in 20 minutes. And it was like, can you do it? But I feel like, and you just kind of touched on it, at some point, you have too many teams to be that focused tactically on all of them. And I'm going to talk to Trust the Process tomorrow. I imagine God knows what he does, because I think he's closing in on 70 teams. And that was kind of like where I was going. How far do you think you can take your clubs, knowing that tactically you can't dedicate as much time? But you kind of answered that with, maybe I'll just reduce my number of clubs.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You do need time for tactics. I think I have a team. I had a team last season from Trust the Process. It was my Road to Glory team. He took 70% of rev share. It was probably the second best team in the league, and I finished fourth or fifth. And that is because I just didn't understand what he had mentally decided for that team. So about 6 games in, I messaged him. I was like, "How did you plan to set these guys up? Because I've now got you only gave me one left back." And he's like, "Oh yeah, just switch into like a 3-3-5-2B for 2 games, then a 4-2-2 for 1 game, then a 4-1-2-1-2 narrow for 2 games, and then back to the 3-5-2B." And because I'd already screwed up the first 6 games, I couldn't do that.
You're dead, yeah.
Yeah, so I just spent the rest of the season fighting through it. And it was like, in my head, I was like, damn, man, like that's on me anyway for just not asking that earlier, or just
Sure.
figuring that out earlier. But I was like, he really he had a plan for that team. And I'm like, I probably cost both of us some MFL because I was an idiot.
I wouldn't say
However,
idiot. You were just a little ignorant of it. Like, you didn't know.
Yeah, ignorant idiots. It was like 62 threes, isn't it? But the thing that was the thing that I find the most interesting about people trying to like do tactics and find an edge in tactics and this and that against certain formations or whatever is like there is so much nuance to everything. Like the same, like 275 rated strikers could be wildly different in terms of quality. One could have, like Cornelius 99 shooting, the other could have like 65 shooting. Like you can't plan for that. The fact that left mids and right mids don't take pace into consideration for overall rating. If you've just got a slow fallback and you've set up this sick tactic to defend, but your opponent's got like 95 pace wingers that are like 65 rated, you're gonna struggle. You can't account for that. And I think I can find a better edge by building teams with the nuance and just letting it ride the season, opposed to trying to be some tactically astute magician and not even knowing how the match engine works well enough to really even know if the tactics are working or not.
Do you run friendlies at all to check your tactics at all? Yeah,
Nope.
Me neither.
Yeah. Too much work, that.
I don't even have that many teams. Sorry, thanks everyone for coming in. I just want to get looks like Olaf, Andy, and Ricky on the podium. So congratulations, you three. I like this question though right away. Nep said a few times about how at one point he thought Sorare was his retirement. And for the record, Nep far from the only one to say that. Did you start playing MFL for the same reason or just for fun?
Just to touch on the MFL thing, I've lost a lot of money on Sorare, but I've made a lot of money from Sorare as well. Like, I'm actually doing all right on Sorare. Not if you just look to my gallery as a single entity, I am not, but through brand deals and it carrying me through my Facebook streams where they paid me a crap ton of money and, affiliates, like I'm all right. So it is kind of still working towards it. And I still believe Sorare has the opportunity to be a massive global game. It just won't be what we thought it was going to be 3, 4, 5 years ago when I started playing it. As for MFL, like I don't want it to be a retirement thing. I want to enjoy just playing it. Like I want to enjoy making content. I want to make better content on it as well. I think I've said this to you a few times. I said it to Josh, and he said that he kind of had chatted to you about it as well. With the same thing, is like I don't want to make this bottom of the barrel. Let me just talk about my thing content, because you can click on my agency and see it all for yourself. You don't need me to reiterate that to you. It is just there. I want to build the stories. I want to look backwards and plan for forwards and have those kind of like a genuine like story, like on Footium, for example. One of the guys took his club from Division 8 to Division 1 and he finally got into Division 1 this season, and that's incredible. And I'm like, not that I've played it for 8 seasons, I haven't played it enough on Footium, but I hate the fact that that's not me. Do you know what I mean? Like I want that to be me. I want to do things on MFL where people are like, oh my God, that's insane. Like how much time and effort and energy has gone into this. And it's something that people want to go backwards and look back on. So I think spending on MFL it's a lot easier to not. It's a lot easier, like, because they just don't have that marketing side of things that So Rare have, where it's like, buy these fancy new cards and enter this fancy new tournament for $10,000. And I'm like, I will, I shouldn't. Fucking I did, it's too late. With MFL, it's like, I just don't need any more players. You know, I've probably gonna put another 100 to 150 players in my agency from the MFL that I've got from the packs in the next couple of days. I'm gonna have nearly 500 players in my agency. It's plenty. I don't need more. And so I like the fact that there is an almost like a cap to kind of how much you can have before it just becomes too much.
Yeah, I trust the process will be on with me tomorrow, and we'll say that you're not even close to that number. So just if you think 500 is a number, I think you're about a third of the way there. The I don't know if I ever looked at So Rare as my retirement fund, but I certainly joined So Rare Data thinking this is the last job I'll ever have, which I think we all know was not true. I didn't join MFL for that at all. Like every dollar I spent on MFL, I consider just gone.
Yep.
I've never sold a player, and maybe I will at one point, but I don't know. I just have fun playing the game, and I like talking about it, and so that's why we're here. Although, and I was saying to this to you before, in that same When Durcast about with Jack work the space, he was saying he doesn't do MFL content yet, or he hasn't done much because he's like, I'm having a lot of fun doing it, and I don't want to get to the point where I feel like I have to do it and it becomes work. And I haven't gotten to that point for MFL. I have gotten to that point a little bit on So Rare, which I think just happens after time. But yeah, I joined MFL because your videos made it look fun, and you look like you were having fun doing it. And I was like, let me try it, and it's really fun.
Yeah, it is fun. I did but for the MFL channel, I was uploading almost daily, doing like the daily upkeep and like showing people all the results and stuff like that. And then I kind of stopped doing that because, as I say, I wanted to make a bit better content. And it was like, even like, you know, that channel gets around 1 to 2,000 ish views per video, which is insane, by the way, for like a brand new game on a brand new channel that I haven't really pushed anywhere. But I felt after not uploading for like 3 days, after uploading every day for like 2 weeks, I had, you know, a good few, like good 100 or so people like, when's the next video? Like, when are you uploading? And so, and I was like, damn, that obligation to upload is already there on that channel. And I really didn't want that. And so I was like, in my head, I'm like, I'll just upload when I've got something to upload. I don't want to just force content. On the contrary, with So Rare, I want to make more So Rare content, and I'm just not finding the time. Like, I really like a lot of the things So Rare are doing right now, and I want to make content on showing people my journey with a specific experience. Like, I bought all of those like Korean and J League cards, and whether I win or lose, I just want to show people like, this is how much I spent. These are the competitions I entered into. This is what came out at the end of it, and go from there. But I can like I don't have the time really to make that content right now because it's really hard to track, and I don't know their names because they're not in English. So it's like really
Oh,
hard
on the cards themselves.
on the cards. Yeah.
Yeah.
So like that makes it real difficult. But also like yeah, it's not tracked anywhere. But also like I struggle even when I've set out a very clear plan to stick to that plan. Like, I bought all those MLS goalkeepers. The idea was to profit off of
Yeah.
them. Like, I've already sold enough now that if I just sold what I've got left, even at the pounds that I bought them for, I'd be in like significant profit based on, you know, ROI, not profit really. I'd make about 40 or 50 quid, but I only spent £100 on them. And if I wait for the rest of the season, I'm sure I'll make a few £100 from them. But Hagen, who I bought 2 of for some reason, has become the starting goalkeeper for someone,
Yeah.
and I couldn't bring myself to sell him. I started using him instead. And in my head, I'm like, why? And it's the same with MFL. Like, I really want to be playing with house money. Yet I refuse to sell anyone.
Mm-hmm.
And so I will never ever get to, I'm like, right, let me put all these new players in. I'll get more MFL. The next season, all of the packs that I get, I'll sell. I won't, because I'll get a player that's like 16 years old or 19 years old who's got like, you know, 50 rated with like 60 shooting. And I'll be like, what if he's like 90 rated? I'll wait. And that's it. Then they're just like forgotten about, and they live the rest of their lives in my agency like they're one of my own children, you know?
There's probably a thought in your head too. You're like, I'm actually very good at owning players in my agency that get to 99 shooting. So surely
Yeah.
I've got.
No,
For those
that
of
what
you
if
who somehow have not subscribed, go over to Nep's channel here, NepentheZ MFL, 953 subscribers.
let's go. Another 47 subscribers and I can monetize that bad boy.
Let's
Let's
go.
go.
And then
Yeah.
we've got at least then you can get some more money to buy packs.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm not buying packs today, by the way, Jimbo.
Get
I'm not
out.
buying packs. I'm not. I am not. I do not need packs.
Whoa, 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 whoa. The hell does need have to do with it? This isn't a game of need.
I think I don't know exactly how much I've spent so far on MFL. It's probably somewhere between $3,000 and $5,000. A lot of those dollars were Disney dollars. So my personal spend is somewhere close like $1,000, maybe like $1,200. And I like the fact that I'm not in for a lot, but I have got a lot. And so I'm very happy just letting other people. Also, like my experience with packs, I know like I got that 84 grim.
I was going to say you.
And my experience with packs is hideous. And I was opening some 600 MFL packs last night, and like with the new pack system, I was like, these 600 MFL packs are just going to keep throwing up like 30 rated players or like low 40s. They're not. I'm getting like 51s, 50. I'm like, this is great. Who would buy the 1200 MFL pack? I'm getting them anyway. So I opened a regular limited pack because I was like, damn, if these are giving them out, nice. 2 regular limited packs opened, 56 and 56. And I was like, that's 6,000 MFL. I could have bought 10 of the common packs. And now I've got 2 crap 56s. And the pack before I opened a common pack and got a 54. I'm like, they're basically the same.
Those.
Yeah. And so I'm like, so I was talking to Josh about some stuff about, he was like, not upset, but he was like, like I only made enough MFL. I didn't make enough to get an uncommon player to improve my team. And I was like, well, you got to you can get it next season. You still got the team. You can still earn the team. And the idea is that over time, if you just bank your MFL, when a player retires, then you buy a pack what you need to replace them. And obviously you could get progression and stuff as well. And he kind of like did a bit of math, and it's up for debate for sure, but effectively at the sort of stone and above level, you don't really earn enough MFL unless you're consistently finishing top positions and long cut runs. You don't really win enough to consistently churn the team over time.
Sure.
But Ice and Spark, you do. And that's I really like that. And so I'm like, I don't even want to touch like high packs, because I know like for Prestige 26 now that I've just got promoted to Iron, my right mid it retires at the end of next season. And I've got quite a few guys that I bought cheap at high ages that I escaped it all this season. None of them are retiring. I'm like, nice, that's another 4 seasons. But eventually they're going to retire. And
Sure.
I'm like, I'm going to need either MFL in the bank to replace them, or I'm just going to accept the fact that I won't replace them, and I'll just let that team die, because I don't want to have to actually keep putting in to sustain. But my ultimate plan is, if I just open enough of these goddamn common packs, I'll just have some rares. Like some of them are going there, Like,
So that's exactly what I was just going to ask. Like, given that you have, so the kind of the predicament that I had when I did my packs yesterday is I have one team that is the best, and I want that team to be the best, and everything else is set up to be a feeder team to that team. But until they're actually feeding it, I need to replace those actual, or fill it with like real players. And so I was wondering if like you're going to get to a point where you're like, do I save everything for Prestige 26, or do I just keep buying the lowest ones and just be like, yeah, whatever comes out, eventually they'll be good enough. And if I open up enough of them, and it does seem like you're just going to keep doing that.
yeah, and I do regret opening the 3. I opened 3 limited packs. I did get 158 rated, so like, yeah, you go me. But I think my plan is like any player. Like I've got like a few clubs that are kind of within their own ecosystem that the same team will get put in every season. I can't really touch them. Then I've got a few clubs that I'm taking seriously and want to put my best in class in. But then if I've got any spare limiteds, uncommons or rares, they will all be loaned out. All of the common packs that I open will fill up my Spark teams until my Spark teams are filled up, and then I'll stop opening like packs and just save the MFL. Because at that point, what I'll do like the next season is, let's say I open 100 common packs and 10 of them become limited for next season, they will get like loaned out. And so I'll open 10 more common packs to kind of like replenish the players that have gone. And so that's how I'll start the process of actually building it, like flushing out the agency. And then if they are loaned out as like limiteds and become uncommon, they'll come back into my clubs and I'll like utilize them again. So yeah, that's kind of like the plan.
So you're putting a lot of faith in other people being able to train your guys and get them higher.
Yeah.
After the experience, so you basically had two similar experiences, I would almost say, with I don't remember who Cornelius was initially loaned out to, but your video was like, why isn't he playing? And then
Yeah.
obviously the whole point the following season was, I need to find somebody who will actually play him. And obviously he's a Lego now. And so that worked. And you had this situation with Trust the Process where you were like, yeah, I'll take all these players. And then, as you said, it basically didn't work out on either side. Do you really think that you can have that many players loaned out and be okay with it, knowing you have no control over how they're being used?
I think at that level, it doesn't really matter. Like even if they're just getting training XP, it's good enough. I'll probably try and get minimum 10 game clauses on them to get them some, like guarantee them some game time. Even if it's like, I would prefer to have like, instead of 5% flat fee and like 0 minimum clause, I'd prefer to have like 3% flat fee and 3% minimum clause of even just 10 games. So they'll still get 2% off if they play them, and I'll still only get 5 or 6% no matter what. But I think if there's a goer as a common, you know, you will just see that even through the training. And like you've got a little bit of luxury with how much XP you can throw away per season. Like I talked to Matt about this. I was like, if in theory, like I just trained and never played somebody, would they ever reach their like top XP? And he said, no, like you can kick the can down the road, but eventually they'll retire and that'll just be wasted potential. So in spite of the fact we don't know exactly when they'll retire, you can kind of gauge. I could probably give a player a season or two of bad management, and I can still hit their big potential. And if in that season or two they're going some, even if they're not playing, in my head I'm like, right, these are players that next season I'll just have in my own clubs because I can see that they're like progressing really well.
So you seem to be on the side of more loyalty to players than clubs.
Yeah, but yeah, I just think you can make more from players.
I agree.
Like, even though, you know, the club, like I said, the last time we spoke, kind of like the clubs have no expiration date. You can infinitely yield from them. And, you know, last season, Josh earned a good few thousand MFL from a team that he brought in at 0% just with game clauses.
Yeah.
And this season, he's already almost done it again. And it's like, it's just really smart play. Like, obviously, you've got to play the players right and make sure you don't like give away the MFL for the mismatching or like missing the matches. But it's a really good way to consistently get MFL. Like, these players are only getting training out of Josh. They're not getting any MFL, and I find that a bit crazy. But from I only loaned about like 20 players out last season, and I made like almost 30,000 MFL from them. And there wasn't like too many rares. There was a few rares and a few uncommons, but a lot of it was like limiteds and lower. And it all stemmed from the fact that like about 6 of the clubs that I loaned players to either won or got to the final of their cup, which gave humongous boosts in MFL. And it genuinely made me think, should I loan all of my top players out? Because I actually think I would just yield more like than playing with them in my own team.
So did you know that you and I each loaned a rare player to the same team?
Yeah, yeah. Super Science, was it?
Alcox.
Oh, Cox, yeah. He won his cup, didn't he? I think.
So he finished second in the cup, but won his league.
Yeah.
I won more MFL from that single player than everything else.
Yeah.
And I realized sort of my plan was like, oh, I'll have good players, and then when they get too good, but I don't have enough for a team, I'll just loan them all out and I'll make more from them. And I basically haven't gotten more good players yet because I had just terrible progression last year. But I do think that for me personally, I'm just not sure I'll ever be able to seriously compete at the higher levels of this game. And I say that as somebody who's literally never made that out of Spark so far. I mean, it's only one season, but like I don't see myself trying to compete in silver and gold and going up there. But if I do have those players, obviously I could sell them, but why would I do that?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, the idea of like the loaning system, I think, is literally the best part of this game and allows you to be able to hold on to guys like this because, like I said, like I realized after buying a dirty club that I'm just more loyal to the players who I packed.
Yeah, that's true. I do. I think you can compete at a high level because what is compete like? What is competing in this game? Winning MFL. That's the game of the game. You obviously win more the higher up you are. But if you've got
Yeah.
one player that's in a high up team, when they win Golden Boot or Playmaker or whatever, you get that award in your agency. And I'm like, that's so sick that like Cornelius got top scorer in the cup. And I'm like, I see that. I don't know if he sees that as well in his agency because it was his team that won it, got it, or whatever. But I get that. And what I like about MFL, what I don't like about MFL, and something I wanted to talk about with you anyway, after I was watching you yesterday, and you brought a comment on the screen from Hatlingen, who said the hype's gone for him, so he sold his club and he's just loaning his players out. And I completely understand that because it takes so long for a season to pass in MFL. It's really hard to have that same level of excitement of buying your club, getting your players, getting those first few games in, and then just waiting. There's not really much you can do. And the what I think you can do though over time, but it is a really long period of time, and I presume the game won't look the same in 6 real life months or 3 real life years. But if you've even got a couple of good players that you're loaning out, if you just keep banking MFL constantly, eventually you can get a rare pack. Then you can loan that player out and they become part of it. And I genuinely think it is possible to snowball to a point where you can bring in more and more and more than you're spending, so long as you don't get like incredibly bad luck with retirement age or people just, dropping out of the cups really, really early or like killing themselves on purpose in the league. Imagine if you loaned to a guy that didn't rotate ever,
Yeah.
and so they don't get any MFL. So now you don't get any of that MFL. Like they're the occasions where it could go wrong. But I genuinely think, especially from the bottom end, you can start churning enough MFL to the point where you can really easily build up just over time. And that's where people lose the interest. They get so bored of waiting for the thing to happen that something else will catch their attention or take their time up, and then MFL becomes an afterthought. It's something I had spoken to Matt about it. I said, 6 weeks is a long time, even for new people to wait now. Like if you miss the start of the season, like, yeah, you can do the redemption cup or you can buy a dirty club and play from there. But people don't want to wait 3 or 4 or 5 weeks to play the game. They want to play it now. They're in that moment for that moment. And if they can't play it, they won't. And so I hope MFL maybe consider either a system where there's like leagues starting at different like stages, or just shortening the leagues a little bit.
So I'm going to respectfully disagree with literally everything you just said.
Okay, fair enough.
So I think it was when I was on Wendirk, because I joined mid-season 4 and I entered the Redemption Cup. And I remember even before the Redemption Cup started, I was like, there's a lot to do. Like you have a lot of play, you have to figure out your players and all this stuff. And I got knocked out of the Redemption Cup after the group stage. I won my first game and then lost every game after that. And the period between the end of the group stage and like the start of the transfer window couldn't have been more than 3 weeks, and was the longest 3 weeks of my life. But it allowed, like, it was, I guess, because it was where I was, like, I was still getting players, but not necessarily, like I was getting packs. And that just seemed very busy to me, but it allowed me to like figure the game out as much as I thought I could in that time. so that when I actually started season 5, I was like, all right, I know what I'm doing, which I still don't really know what I'm doing, but it made me feel like I knew what I was doing. And so I think that's actually the best way to start, is like mid-season and in the cup, because it just allows, that's your learning curve as opposed to just like getting thrown right in. You don't really know how the loans work or figuring out who to get your loans from. And like, I understand that, like, I just want to start right now, but I feel like there has to be some sort of like learning period. And the other thing that I feel like I shout out the When Dirkcast every single day. They were talking about whether seasons were too long or too short or just right. And Calvo was like, I think they could extend them like 8 weeks maybe, and not have cup games on the same day as league matches. And that's how you extend them. And he was like, definitely not shorter. And I was like, I think 6 weeks feels right. But I would be, if they were like, we're going to go longer, I would be like, I get it. Now, I kind of made the point, I don't know if I said this yesterday or not. If you extend the season, now there are fewer seasons in a year, which means fewer pack drops because they do one preseason and mid. And so like they lose money on that. So I get it why they wouldn't do that. Obviously, shortening them means, more pack drops now.
Money.
Speaking of which, pack drop today, when Dirk will be streaming on the pack drop for that. But I don't know. Like I feel like there is enough to do day to day that having it be shorter, I don't know. I don't need it shorter.
For me, it's like I don't mind it being the same or longer if there was more to the game. And this is something I've bashed on about a fair few times. But there needs to be more kind of like data collection. That like I need to see my top goal scorers. Like I know that the amount of goals they scored is there, but I need to be like have historic data of everything. I can't even find the team sheet from my clubs last season to know who to put back into the teams. Like that is a process. Like that is difficult. I spent more time doing that this last few days until Josh sent me a spreadsheet that just had everything there for me. But I spent more time doing that than doing anything else my whole entire life, building like like. And
I must have clicked on the squad page 50 times in my stream yesterday. Like, let me just look at the last season. Of course,
yes,
right?
Not there. And it's things like that. And like what I love from this, what I loved at Football Manager, what I loved when I played Championship Manager before that existed, or like these old games like LMA Manager, or the FIFA Ultimate Team back in the day when it was like quite fresh and what it gave us was enough. I love data and stats. Like when I play games like Diablo, I love just breaking records of like chains of mob kills and things like that. Like I really enjoy that. And I wouldn't care how long the season was if I was like, damn, if I can score like 3 more goals with this striker this season, he will break the all-time club record goal scoring part. Or like I would love it if like the Ice and the Spark League had records. Do you know what I mean? Like obviously they're gonna be a bit skewed because you've got people like Pranksy who've scored like 758 goals in the first season. So you're gonna struggle to beat that. But imagine if you get there somehow. Imagine if something changes, or you know what I mean? Like
You could even do it just league based though.
yeah,
Not even division, like league based. Hey, highest score ever in this league.
yeah. And that I think would be that immersion. I would care way less about anything, because like one of the things I actually had the most fun for last season was the leagues that I knew I had the chance of Golden Glove, the top passer or the top scorer, just checking after every game and seeing. And like in the league that I had, I think it was Team Sweating. I had this player called Carranza, and I played him sometimes cam, sometimes striker, depending on rotation. And he was top for combined goals and assists, but he wasn't a top passer or the top scorer. And the reason why he wasn't a top scorer is because the guy Brandana MFC, who finished top of the table, he didn't lose the game and he was the best team by far. Because he was so far ahead in the league, he started playing his lesser squad in the tougher games so that he could have his top squad against the zombies, so that he could absolutely fucking pump them.
Just past them, yeah.
One of his players scored like 6 goals in a game, and I'm like, you bastard.
I love it.
Like,
absolutely love it.
I couldn't afford to do it because I was fighting for promotion. I had to just play my best at every opportunity. And I was like, fair play to him, because he finished with like first, second, and fourth top goal scorer, and I had Carranza in amongst them, and he finished, I think, with first, third, and fourth assists as well.
It's crazy.
The fair play to him, but Yeah, it like that's the sort of thing that I couldn't care if the season was 10 weeks long because of those moments, but they're so few and far between because of the lack of the lack of immersion with a lot of it. It's almost like a lot of it is like self kind of not proclaimed, but it's like you have to create it. Like people are making spreadsheets to track things to stay engaged with the game. And I think MFL need to make that be part of the game, not a
Mhm.
side quest for people.
Um, so this was my Spark League for Empire last year. So this you can see the leading score had 106. Nobody else, 79 was the highest, but they actually didn't have a player win the Golden Boot, but they
Wow.
had 2 through 5. But then they also had 4 of the top 5 assists. But
Yeah.
I thought it was so funny that they scored all of these goals and the top score was actually from the guy who finished 4th.
Did you get the goalkeeper award? Because you had like here's the other thing that bothers me about the goalkeepers. You probably like it looks like anyway that you got most clean sheets, but they go off match rating, not clean sheets. That's absurd. That is absurd. Oh, you got it. Nice. Yeah.
So I think what you need to do is win a trophy that has your own name on it.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I was thinking about a team of Douglases. Yeah. But the other thing that I'm gonna do this season that I like is some people are so smart with things that you just like think, damn, how didn't I think of that? But I was
Like this entire platform.
yeah, basically, yeah. Um, I was bashing somebody in one of my leagues for having like some really high rated players that were too good for the league. And I was like, man, he just doesn't realize A, he could loan these out and get more MFL. B, like it's like they're getting terrible training and like losing out on match XP. And it turns out he was a viewer. And I was like, how uncanny is that? I'm like slaying somebody for like all these mistakes they're making. And then he explains to me why he did it. And he was like, if you notice, they're both goalkeepers and they're both really old. And so I don't care about their progression. They're there because what they do as being really high rated as a goalkeeper is they flatten the training line for everybody else. And because they're really good goalkeepers in the league, people strikers can't score against them. So you end up
Yeah.
getting goalkeeper awards. You keep loads of clean sheets. And I was like, that is fucking genius. I'm like, now I'm doing that with all of my teams this season. I'm going to have goalkeepers like 10 points higher than the average rating.
So I opened an uncommon pack yesterday and got a 69 rated goalie. And I was just like crushed because I was like, come on, man. Like the 69 is the highest I could have gotten because I bought the one in the range. Actually, that reminds me of something else. And everyone's like, just because you hate goalies doesn't mean they're very important in this game. And having a really good goalie is going to help you. And I was like, yeah, but it's goalie. Come on,
Yeah.
man. But like, I get it. But that reminded me, going back to the whole pack thing. What I think was so fun yesterday when everybody was able to like buy their reward packs was that there was absolutely no consensus about what was the best. That there's some people were like, that's a terrible value. And somebody's like, yeah, but you get this. And everyone's like, oh yeah. They're like, well, what about this? And you're like, yeah, but in this range you can do that. And you're like, oh yeah. And I feel like nobody agreed. There was no like community agreement of like, oh no, these are way overpriced or these are too underpriced and we should all get those. Like, I think they just nailed the numbers there.
Yeah, I think in my video I kind of went through. It was like my first look at them, so I didn't really. It was just kind of like what I thought in the moment of when I first saw them. But I think the lower priced ones for each one, I think they're ludicrous. I think anybody that buys them, like honestly, just give me your MFL instead. Like, what a waste of MFL to buy the cheaper ones. But I think the more expensive ones have value. And that value comes based off the price of the lower ones. So, like if you look there, like the uncommon, you're saving 2,000 MFL, but guaranteeing yourself a maximum 69.
I
Like
did that yesterday, by the way.
oh,
But
there you go.
mostly because of how much MFL I had.
Yeah, and that's like if you're like itching and you've got a set amount and you just want to open, fair enough. But you might as well buy two limited 60 to 64s for 1,000 more, and you're going to get two players that are within a very similar range. There, it's just because the tiers are different. People assign like a different mental value, but actually, like if you get like a 63 from the upper limited pack and then a 66 from the lower uncommon pack, like those players are they could be wildly different anyway in their career paths and their progression and their like their end overall and even their current age and their retirement age and stuff. And I just think what a waste of MFL to guarantee yourself an upper limit.
Totally get it. Totally get it. Despite me doing this yesterday.
Yeah.
Actually, my argument yesterday was I wanted to get a player that helps my team. And if I got like a 74 rated player, they would have been too good and I would have loaned them out and then not filled the hole that I had on my team.
Yeah, that's fair.
But then got a 69 rated goalie.
Yeah,
Maybe he'll win me another trophy. Who knows?
Yeah.
Maybe I'm a goalie whisperer.
I wanted to go back to that about like loaning when we were talking about like, loaning your players out versus keeping.
Yeah.
It's the one side about keeping them is that if, like, let's say I put my best players now in Prestige 26 and I'm in Iron, I think they're good enough to get me promoted into Bronze. Is it worth me getting promoted into Bronze and having a good cup run with them and then having Bronze MFL rewards the next season? Is that actually going to be better than loaning them out and having a stagnant club? Maybe it is. I don't know.
Do you automatically get relegated if you don't register?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah.
So like if that wasn't
the MFL for it as well.
Right. So if that wasn't the case, I would consider maybe for season 7 loaning out every single one of my players and seeing if I got more MFL than if I played them.
I don't know where you get to see the minimum requirements needed, but you could possibly do it anyway, and then just put in a zombie team for your actual team.
Yeah, that's fair.
Take the L, take the MFL as well. I suppose you would get relegated at that
You
point.
get relegated, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm just like curious. Like, I don't know of anyone who has, dozens of players in their gallery and no clubs.
Yeah.
And I would love to see kind of like how that works. Is it enjoyable? Is it a viable way to play? Because I imagine if you had lots of players, like hundreds of players, and you loan them out, surely there's going to be some people who are like, can I have 5 of them? And then you kind of like, oh, 5 of my guys here. And now you can track that a little bit. I imagine your schedule page would just be horrific every day because it's just like hundreds of games. But I don't know. I was just thinking, like, I wonder from an MFL perspective, I wonder if that ends up actually being the optimal play.
I think it comes down to what you can get at what levels. I think I struggled at the end of last season in the mid-season when I opened some packs and stuff, I struggled to loan out the commons. Now, obviously, everybody had their teams. Nobody's really looking for commons. But even at the start of the season and the start of this season so far, nobody wants commons. Even like the 48s, 50s and stuff, nobody really wants them. And so I don't think you get an MFL return off of that. But as soon as they're limited, there are sharks out there for those, man. And so I think for limited and above, you can absolutely loan them out until your heart's content. I think for commons, I think just having your own clubs is so good. And I'm hopeful this season that there will be a little bit of like equalization with the Spark leagues because all of the monster teams have been promoted and the teams that are getting relegated are most likely zombie teams. So the general quality of Spark should diminish massively this season to the point where like 50 rated players could be good enough to like not get promoted, but at least compete in the league a bit better.
Mm-hmm. I didn't realize this about Ronin, that he had 693 players and only 6 clubs.
Yeah. Look at his earnings last season, nearly 2 million MFL.
Ridiculous.
That's crazy. You look at Trust the Process's earnings last season. That's not a lot given the number of players.
I don't think he has a lot of higher level clubs. Like, I don't think he has like a platinum club. Like, yeah, silver, and then bronze. Like, so he has 1 silver, and then it's like bronze and down. And I think that's why.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, it's still a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot. 1,390 players. I actually think he has fewer players now. I just can't fathom, like, I mean, obviously this is like all time, but like 10 million MF. I mean, they won a quarter of that last year.
I wonder how much they save. Like, are they so content with their team that they don't need to open it and they just save it. My worry with that would be that like MFL just kind of like move the needle somewhere, and now all of a sudden your MFL value has like diminished greatly
Mm,
because they've changed a pack like cost or something like that.
it's possible, I guess. Um, oh, because the Dow owns 5 clubs. Yeah, I forgot that whole Dow
Oh,
thing.
okay, yeah, yeah. One of the things that like came to light when we bought the Diamond Heist was that almost every team in the Diamond League and the Platinum divisions, almost every team is owned by a DAO, and that kind of it was kind of like disappointing that no like it it would have been a lot more like
Are you guys that different from a Dow?
we are a DAO, yeah, we exactly are, yeah,
Oh,
but that's why it's disappointing because like it's there was no opportunity for me to do it by myself because people will not yield their cards for fair value because they don't want the competition because they all own everything at the top. And so to break in, you either need like humongous funds or like somebody that you know in there. And it really distorted my view of being able to like work my way up to the top because I will never get to the top because it is like it's just owned up there by so many people that the best opportunity you've got is getting one player that becomes a legendary or an ultimate and having them play for the team. Like that's literally the best opportunity you'll get.
yeah.
And that's quite sad as a game. You know, Football Manager. Imagine if like on Football Manager you started like a rags to riches road to glory where you take like the worst team in the league and you're like, right, the aim is to go to the Premier League, win the Champions League, but actually you'll just never, ever, ever be able to do it. You just wouldn't play that game. And that's kind of like what I felt from this. I was like, right, I'll just carry on with my stories at the bottom because I've got no chance at the top.
So what does that do to the Diamond Heist?
Yeah, well, we still plan like the plan for the Diamond Heist was to the plan like the Diamond Heist
Was
is
it
about
supposed to get
making
to
money.
gold?
Yeah, so we'll probably get relegated again this season. We might get some goal, score some goals, and get some points this time around. But we'll probably get relegated. And then in gold, we'll have a team that's competitive. And the aim is to just farm as much MFL as we can, sell the packs for the players to make more money back, and then eventually like either have a club that we can sustain in gold and maybe we've got some good progression, loan those players out or even get promoted back up, or more than likely, eventually we'll go down to silver after a few seasons because a team's just not strong enough, and then down
Mhm.
again, and like we'll just end up probably just selling the club off by the end of it. But it's literally just about making money. Like the opportunity of like the amount the packs sell for on floaty at the moment for a common pack and the amount some of the common players sell for. Like if you get like a teenager, you could get like $10 or $15 for that player straight away. Doesn't matter what rating they are. And that's just insane. I have like we made about 300 or 1,000 MFL from the Diamond Heist in season one. Think how many common packs we can open, how many teenagers we would get, and how many 10, 15, $20 are there. We just make an insane amount of profit, like over time. Like that's what it's for.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Are you really gonna open that many packs?
Yeah. It's a lot easier now. They've made the process is, like, a lot easier, and because there's not a number there anymore, you can just buy unlimited. Like, last season, it run out, and you couldn't buy
Yeah.
any more. Yeah. We've been contemplating buying some uncommons or some rares, especially now with these, like, pack situations here, but like, the aim long term will be to actually have, like I'd have to speak to MFL about it to see if it'd be okay. If not, my wife is gonna become an MFL player. Um but having the Diamond Heist and all of its players all on just one solitary account, like that way, all of the MFL it earns, we don't have to like track things. And the
Yeah.
reason why we'd need to track things is because I think it's smart personally to rip as many common packs as we can, sell the players that are worth selling, and then loan out the players that don't sell, and just use those players to make even more MFL and have them listed so that if they do eventually sell, great, that's even more profit. But not sure on the rules of multi accounts. I don't think there'd be a problem with multi accounts apart from the fact that they don't want you in the same division.
I was just
Like,
about to say that, yeah.
yeah. So I'd have to kind of like take a view on that. But um, Yeah, that like I think like having a lot of MFL, I think, can yield so much MFL if you do it smartly. It just takes ages. Takes a long time.
Why do you go at common and not limited? Like we were just kind of
But
talking about that, like limiteds get snapped up. So like why?
yeah, Josh did some like calculations with based on what the prices sell for on floaty, and it's like almost like 200 MFL to the dollar for everything at the bottom end, like both the common packs and the limited packs. They're all in terms of like value of what you can sell the pack for versus how much MFL it costs. It's about the same. So maybe going for the limited would be better. You obviously just get less players, and so
Yeah,
less opportunities for growth, less opportunities for bringing in MFL and such. But like you also get like with what can sell if you're opening 5 packs per one, common to limited, you got 5 times the chance of a younger player, 5 times the chance of a player that has got, like, an anomaly stat, 5 an out of position player that's got a really high rating, like, you just got more chances of getting those players, and they're sought after even at the common level.
that's fair. That's fair. One of the things, so I guess the packs of stuff leads to what I actually wanted to talk about today. Now that we're 52 minutes in, um, the this is interesting. Manito said the MFL season should be longer, 16 teams per division. I guess that's the other way to do it, just
Yeah.
more teams. Um, we are given some credit for kind of a boom in the number of users who have come to the
Lead boom.
platform in a short
Yeah.
amount of time. And from my perspective, like the number of referrals I get now is much slower than it was a month ago, 2 months ago, even, which I think is probably better for the ecosystem, to be honest, because it was just funny listening to all the different people talk about like prices, and they're like, I can't believe this guy's going for this and this, and it's like I was having legitimate Sawyer flashbacks of this guy is not worth this, and somebody's like, but I'll pay it, I'll pay double, I'll just do it, and kind of a slower user growth, I think, allows for more kind of organic growth market wise that makes sense. Um, do you see that kind of slowing, and do you think it's a positive, or do you think that if we were just in an eternal boom, it would be better?
I think the initial boom was a perfect storm of Football Manager being cancelled, So Rare kind of slowing down for the end of the European campaigns, a lot of content creators in the So Rare space and the Web3 space kind of getting on board and making content, and the Disney dollars. Like there was so many reasons to sign up that it was an insane boom. I do think the kind of not the novelty's worn off, but I do think that whole like this is what it is and what it could be has reached its peak, and now it's like, well, we've got to see what it will be now because the game is fun, and I love MFL, and I literally like it's when I sit at my desk every morning, one of the first things I do is log on to MFL, but it's not a complete game. It's not a finished game. Like if this was what the game was, what it is now was still what it was in like say a year's time, I probably won't be playing it anymore. I probably will get bored of it because there's only so much you can do. And so I think the more content that gets made, the more kind of informed opinions people can have on what the actual game is and see it being played. And I think that initial rush of like these players could have 99 potential or 50 potential. That's so exciting until you play it for a season and your guy doesn't move. And you're
Yeah.
like, this isn't nearly as exciting as I thought it was going to be. I kind of don't like this isn't the game I want to play. And so like I understand why like less people are getting involved now. But also I think like these Web3 spaces, they're like they really do like I've been making solo content for nearly 4 years now, and that channel still only gets like 1 to 2,000 views a video. I post it on X, on TikTok, on Instagram. I put like integrations on my main channel, and I still don't get more views on that content. There is just a ceiling of who gives a shit. And MFL, I think, has a bigger ceiling because it's Football Manager opposed to fantasy. But there still is a ceiling of people that give a shit about a kind of like time-based, turn-based game, like that has so much uncertainty. Like people want to know, like people want to get to the end. They want to finish something. They want to win. They want to succeed. They don't want to just be in like this. constant feeling of limbo where it's like maybe next season and so I think there's definitely a limit, and I think we've already like brought in the majority of the people that care, and for it to go further, the game, like, to not disrespect them, because as I say, I love it, but the game just has to be better for them to go further.
In what respect?
Look, like I say, like with like things like history, like having more creative control. And they are working on it. Here's the thing: like, I'm
Mhm,
not taking shots. Like, last season was the first season you could put shirt numbers on, and it's things like that. Like, if you played Football Manager loads and you came on and you couldn't put your shirt numbers on, you'd be like, "The hell is this crap? It's a
mhm.
football game. How can I not put my jersey numbers on?" And it's things like that, like making it a better football game and bringing it into like the new age of gaming with the with like the Web3 concept behind it. I think it has the potential to be the single best football manager game there has ever been, because it doesn't have licensing issues, because it's like they can create whatever their imagination wants, they can make within this world. But that takes time and it takes money, and there's only so many people developing it, and there is that, not concern, but there is that like thought of like, does it stand the test of time? How long are people going to be interested in either running a 55 rated team in Spark, or having to spend money to get a team better, or having to give up the MFL that they'd earned to have a better team? At which point you might as well just not. You might as well be back at the point where you're just
Right.
having your Spark team, right? Like, so I think it's got a long way to go, and I think the better the game gets, and as more time passes, and the natural, authentic love for the game, I think will bring in people over time. And I do think that is probably better for the game as well, because like the last thing you need is people selling like 30 rated commons for like $10 that are literally worthless.
Yeah. Where do you think the kind of 3D matches falls? Like, is
Oh yeah.
that kind of the biggest game changer possibility?
I think just in general, like in-game tactics, like being able to like make subs, being able to go attacking or defensive. I was watching, I can't remember who it was, but it might have been Jack P on something, and he was like, whoever it was, it was like, I was 1-0 down in the final of the cup, and I just couldn't do anything about it. Like, just, how demoralizing is that? And it's like things like that, which, like, yeah, having a better match engine and better control over how your team performs, I think goes a long way, and definitely the 3D engine. And I can't remember who it might have been, you talking about it, about the AI side of things. Um, Whoever it was, like, genius, like, thought process. But like in the moment, the
Surely not me then.
matches, in the moment, the matches are decided before you've even seen them. Like, the match engine has already created the result. If they could get AI to create the goals, so you could actually see the goal
Oh, yeah.
in real, like, not real life, but like as if it was real life. If they have like I don't know how much AI power would be needed for this, but if every player had its own face, body, whatever on the field, and you could actually see your players scoring the goals, that would be sick. And that would be like super immersive to, again, the point where you'd be like, right, let's see how my team have scored the goals. Would help you maybe with tactics. Like, I'm sure that's probably a long, long, long way off, but I just thought that would be genius to actually see the goals being scored as if it was real football. Because imagine posting a clip onto like socials of you scoring like a worldie in the 90th minute.
I did not say that, but man, I wish I had, because that's a great idea. But you're right. If everything is predetermined, then they know ahead of time what the goals are. And I mean, we say they're predetermined. They're predetermined once the lineups are set 5 minutes before they.
Yeah.
So it's not like they have. It's not like right now season 10 is already
Yeah.
done. As far as we know. But yeah, I think that the being able to see football would help.
Yeah.
And like dots on a screen, like we watch it, like it can get exciting depending on like what the situation is. And I've actually been kind of one who, I'm not really looking forward to the change from the, I don't even know, I'm gonna like offensively call them cartoons, but whatever they are now, to like these AI generated real life looking people. But from a highlight perspective, it would make more sense to use a real life looking person than just a but I'd probably watch the cartoon thing also. I don't know. But I do feel like that's the biggest thing that not from a game perspective, but I feel like that's the most like that's the biggest opportunity for them to add something to the game where people see it and they're like, "Whoa, that's cool."
Yeah.
And that's enough. Like sometimes that's enough to get somebody to say, "Yes, I'm going to go play that game."
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
Um I'm I'm going to finish up here with a question that I have that you've been talking about a bunch on your streams, or excuse me, your videos about um like finding guys who are better in secondary positions, and do you find that you spend more time looking at that, or looking at like the actual underlying attributes of players? Because I feel like, and I've said this before, that I essentially just rely on overall rating, and I'm like, oh, if this guy's 66 and this one's 65, I'll just play the guy who's 66, and I don't really put much thought into it beyond that. And this is where I go back to like the tactical side of things, is where I really struggle, because it's like, all right, I have these guys. Well, this guy's really good with he's got a high pace. This one's got a high physical. This one's high shooting. Like, which one do I play? I still don't like have that. Like, do I need a CDM that has good shooting? Probably not. But like, how are you looking at these guys right now like that?
Yeah, it's been a learning curve over the last few years for that, for sure. Over the last few seasons, should I say? One of the things that I learned recently was that, like, so I have 3 strikers in Prestige 26, and my best striker has the lowest conversion XG. And I was just like, why? He's got the most shooting. He's like, he's the fastest. He's the best. And somebody's like, oh, he's got low physicals. So he just gets pressured by defenders, which causes his shots to go off target. And I'm like, that's not listed anywhere. That's
Yeah,
not in
where
the
the hell is
rating.
that?
Yeah, how do you know that? And it was just like, but it's a thing. Maybe it's like data mined. Maybe it's just like people are just noticing that high physical strikers with high finishing score more goals. I don't know.
Mm.
I thought that's interesting. But like there was a few players, one team in one of Josh's leagues this last season, he had like, whatever, 68, 70 rated players and stuff. But they like, he had like a 72 rated winger with like 83 shooting, 83 pace, and like 80 passing. And I'm like, that's just not a 73 rated player. I'm like, that's insane. And so I noticed, I looked at my own players, and I've got a CDM who's only like 76 rated or whatever, but he's got like 92 defending. And I don't concede many goals. And like all of my centre backs, actually 3 of my 4 centre backs have got exceptional defensive stat compared to their overall rating. And my CDM has got an exceptional defensive stat. And I'm like, no wonder why I don't concede goals. I've got really, really high defensive stats that will be comparable to like silver or even gold teams, like defensive stats.
Mhm.
Okay, the passing might suck and whatever, but the reason why I just flat out don't concede goals is because of that. And so it definitely makes me think, so for this next season now, I'm going to start building my teams. I want to build like a Spark team. I don't give a shit about their overalls. I'm just going to get like the most outrageous differential between the overall and the key stat for the position that they play. So it's like, if I want an average 55 rated team in Spark, I want my 55 rated centre backs to have like 65 defending,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and my 55 rated strikers to have 65 shooting, and the same with the midfielders for passing. And I have a feeling I will just wipe the floor with teams who are close to me in rating or whatever, because they will have like, they wouldn't have thought about this. But so I'm excited for that. But I also have got a team for the cup next season. I built a team. I looked at what I had in my agency. I couldn't do it with every single position, unfortunately. But I've got a team that will go like the top 11 are rated 501 based on their base positions, but they're rated 556 based on their out of position.
Love that.
And so if the way I understand it is correct, I will get put into a cup with other
Yeah.
similarly 500 rated teams. So I should absolutely piss that cup.
Yeah,
And
you
if
should.
I do, I will then try and leverage that at higher levels where the cup
Sure.
wins are like way, way better. But my problem is Josh has got an extremely similar rating and out of position rating. And so he feels like we might end up getting put in the same
Same
cup
cup.
because we've got the same rating. So I was like, oh crap. Like if we end up meeting at all anywhere, one of us is going out. Otherwise we'll like, if we get into different cups, maybe we'll both win it.
How are you deciding what um what rating is the most important per position. Like obviously, like defending and defenders, sure. Strikers, shooting, everything else.
Yeah, so for me, like CDMs is kind of like a combination of defending and passing. Centre mids is just passing. Cams is dribbling and passing. For wingers, it's pace and passing. And that's about it really. Like, and then for fullbacks, kind of defending and passing as well.
So I'm just going to pull up an example from my own team here, just because this is so. These all four of these guys, excuse me, are center mids. The one of them is a left mid, but he's just a -1 for center mid. Who do you think is the best one here?
Yeah, the Fam.
Because of the passing?
Oh well, I don't think he's the highest rated necessarily, but yeah,
Oh, okay.
I think he's the best one because he's got really good physical, really good passing, and then he's got decent dribbling and pace as well. If I had to guess who was the highest rated,
They're very similar, so it's not like they're going to be drastically off.
yeah, but it's probably the top guy, the Argentinian.
So he's the lowest rated.
Oh damn! Look at that.
He's a 66 left mid, but a 65 center mid. And so I'll actually, like, we can do it there. Like, so this is now them rated top to bottom. The first two are 68, 67, 66. I didn't play this guy that much in like as a center mid, but like 72 shooting. And I was just like, man, that seems really good. 81 pace. The 47 physical is a bummer. But I was just like, I don't know how to tell the difference between these guys other than I'm just like, oh yeah, I probably wouldn't play this guy Mancia because over the others because he's 66 rated and they're higher. He's 65 as a center mid.
See, Mancia would be a really. I bet his secondary position is really high, isn't it?
Well, center mid is the secondary position.
Oh, okay.
He's a left mid, 66 left mid,
yeah.
65 center mid.
I think as a left mid, he is really good because he's got good dribbling, passing, and then brilliant shooting and brilliant pace. And so having him as like an attacking, like left mid, would be really strong for him. Which is what I utilized with my Aparicio this season because he's got like 92 pace and high stats, and he's consistently the highest rated player in games.
Do you captain him?
No, I don't.
Yeah, of course not.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's stuff like this where I have to like decide, am I smarter than the overall rating? Like that's where
I think with Fam, like if physical plays a part in terms of like the players being composed, you know, if his passes are better under pressure because he's got high physical, having like high physical and high passing, and that's not even just higher passing, that's like, you know, you're like 5 or 6 points above his, or even 6 or 7 points above his base rating. Like that's a lot of extra passing. If your league average, like if, you know, the way I would look at it is like, if your opponents have got similarly rated players, but got 67 passing like you've got with your other two centre mids, I'd be playing Fam and Barber as my two centre midfielders all day, every day, because they will effectively pass your opponents off the park. And it doesn't matter how fast or strong or whatever the other players are if they can't touch the ball. Like,
sure. Yeah, I almost feel like this 81 dribbling is useless as a center mid, which I know it's not useless, but if you have these guys who can pass, I'd rather just pass through things than dribble through them. And then they find Mancia on the wing.
Exactly.
All right. Well, I'll win my league now.
Yep, there you go.
But it's stuff like that. Like I think that's literally that is like my next step of MFL, of trying to get better, of knowing what I should be, like the types of players that I should actually be playing, as opposed to just, oh, this number is bigger than this one, so he's just better.
Yeah. That's what I did for the first couple of seasons that I played. But
so are you still going with 16 teams this year? I mean, you're running out of time to make a change.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I'm really running out of time. I was planning on doing a lot last night, but I didn't. I've filled in the 4 kind of self-contained teams. I've got them. They're ready for the season. I can't decide for Prestige 26 if I want to put my best players in and try and get promoted, or just have a good season with them, or if I want to effectively just get relegated with them and loan my players out. Because I think like some of the players that I've got are like 84s, 83s, 82s. I think I could get them into silver teams. Why would I put them into an iron team to get promoted to bronze? And then because of like the discrepancy between the best teams in bronze, silver, and iron, even if I got to bronze, like the team that I could put together now, my best team, I would maintain in silver, but I can't get promoted to silver. So it's like either I have to go and buy a silver club, which I'm not doing
Yeah,
that,
you're not doing that.
or I just kind of got to loan them out and like get them into silver through loaning them out instead. So I haven't really made a decision yet of what I want to do. I think I'm probably just going to leave it till literally the last hour and then panic, put loads of players in loads of different teams, and end up with a team of like 7 goalkeepers and 3 strikers and not a lot else. You know, that's probably what will happen. Like,
I mean, all right, last question. How much of the stuff that you do comes with an eye on content? Loaning out all your guys and not having teams can't be good for content.
I don't know, because Cornelius, his growth was
That's
the
fair.
pinnacle of the channel last season, and like I actually started following. Like one of the best things I got from loaning him out was like I started watching the games of a team that I don't own with players that I don't own, to watch Cornelius play. And I was like, this is, and when he wasn't playing, I'll be straight like messaging Doge straight away, like, "Oh, dude, why is he?" And he's like, "Oh, we've got like a big important cup game tomorrow, so I wanted to make sure he was like fully rested." I was like, "Okay, fair enough." And then he's ended up scoring a couple of goals in the cup that sent them through to the semi-finals. And I was like, "Okay, that was good. Like that was smart from you." But yeah, like just watching him was actually fun. And I think like what I didn't do with the other players this season was watch them at all. So to kind of like go and put all the data into the spreadsheet at the end of the season, and some of my players, you know, yielded me like 6,000-7,000 MFL, like Gegor Gita. He was in a team that finished second in the league and won the cup. And I was like, damn. I was like, I don't even know if he played. Like, I know he played some games because it says it there, but I don't know what, like, was he the starter? Did he start in the cup? I didn't know. And like, I actually think like following their journey could be a lot more interesting than having them just all in the same club where I almost know where I'm going to finish and how I'm going to
Yeah.
be in the season. Like the kind of like enjoyment of that was quite fun. And it's an interesting, like setup when you loan a player out, because if you're club that they're in, let's just say everyone's 80 rated. If they're all like good progressors and they all go up 1, 2, or 3 points towards the like start of the season, they could all of a sudden go from like mid-table to favorites in the league. Like, you know, at that level,
Mhm.
it's like there's not that much discrepancy. So I could be looking at it going, oh, like he's in a team that's like projected 9th. And then all of a sudden, halfway through the season, they're like 3rd. And I'll be like, oh my God, all this extra MFL that I just didn't expect is coming now. Like, I like that.
It's funny because in your, I don't know if it was the video you posted yesterday, since I'm only halfway through. Maybe it was the one before. But you were saying that you won a lot more MFL than you expected.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's just from that, where you're just like, once you, like when you loan guys out, you're just like, oh yeah, I could get 3%, whatever percent of like whatever. And you're just like, okay, I'll find out at the end. And then it
Yeah.
actually comes and you're like, oh shit,
Yeah,
this
that was
actually
a
can
lot.
be pretty good.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to let you go. Um, but thanks for coming on. And it won't be so long for the next one, since I didn't notice that you got new headphones and you called me out on not recognizing it. So I'll have you back. Don't worry. We'll
Lovely.
get it back. So Nep, thanks for that. Good luck getting the rest of your team set or getting all your players loaned out. If you have any in the, mid to high 60s, just give me a ring. We can talk. And yeah, thanks everyone for coming. If you could please like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Shout out to Quinny. Go over to NepentheZ MFL. Try to get him to 1,000 subscribers, so it gives me the thought that maybe one day I could get there too, now that I'm at 4.0 something or other. And yeah, good luck with all of your teams, and please make sure you get outside.